vyombo vya vidijitali.
Hapo ndipo mimi napinga jambo lake kwa sababu vijana wanapata faida nyingi kuliko hatari.
Kanusha, sisi ndisi wanafunzi.
Sisi si wanafunzi.
Caleb umekosea kidogo.
We live in la vida loca, tunapiga sherehe nika tunapiga mboka.
Good evening and welcome to the Kenya Methodist University here in Nairobi County. Now, this is the first private institution to offer medicine here, not only in Nairobi, but in various parts of the country. Plays host to the second edition of our transgenerational conversation that seeks to build a bridge between the old and the young. Since this morning, our audience have been streaming in and are currently seated. They will have the opportunity to engage our panel of experts who are drawn from various fields. Note, this particular program is exclusively live on KBC Channel 1, courtesy of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, in partnership with the Korean International Cooperation Agency, KOICA, and the United Nations Development Program, as well as the Interreligious Council of Kenya, among other key stakeholders who are currently present in this particular hall. Remember, if you're just joining us, thank you for making time for us this evening. Talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 using the hashtag Amanikwa Ground, and surely we'll sample some of your views as the session continues. Good evening once more. I am your moderator. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. However, I am not alone.
Naam, shukran sana mwenzangu Abdiaziz Hashim kutoka katika upande wa pili wa studio. Na bila shaka mtazamaji, hujambo, shukran sana kwa kujiunga nasi. Na kama alivyosema mwenzangu Hashim ni kwamba leo hii tuko hapa katika chuo cha Kenya Methodist hapa jijini Nairobi, awamu ya pili ya mjadala ama mazungumzo ya vizazi. Na basi upande huu wa pili mie nitakuwa nazungumza nao wananchi ambao wamemiminika hapa kutoka mwendo wa asubuhi, na bila shaka watakuwa wanapata ile fursa ya kuuliza maswali, manake kile ambacho tunafahamu ni kwamba mazungumzo ama mjadala wowote si kamilifu bila sauti ya mwananchi. Jina langu ni Nancy Okware. Kwa sasa narejesha usukani kwake Abdiaziz Hashim.
Welcome to the second edition of the Transgenerational Conversation live from Kemu Towers. Now, our panel this evening consists of none other the Reverend Dr. that is Samuel Kobia. He is the NCIC chairman. He also served as the former senior advisor on Cohesion Office of the President, as well as a veteran peace builder and mediator with global experience, ex-chancellor at St. Paul's University, general secretary at the World Council of Churches. Finally, he is an author of Dialogue Matters, visiting professor in USA and the United Kingdom. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, next to the chairman, we do have Gen Zs on this particular platform. Let's start with Purity Mutua. She is the vice president of the University of Nairobi Students Association. She also serves as the executive member Pan-African Student Leaders Forum, founder of the Mashujaa wa Bahari Marine Conservation Project, also 2024 National Geographic Young Explorer nominee, as well as she is a final year veterinary medicine student at the University of Nairobi. Welcome, Purity.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, also another Gen Z on this particular platform, Kisero Kennedy. He is the Secretary General of none other than this institution, the Kenya Methodist University Student Association. He's also the spokesperson of the Kenya University Students Organization. He's also the Delegate Commonwealth Students Association. He heads up upskilling and mentorship youth advocacy of Africa. He's also a final year nursing student at the Kenya Methodist University. Kennedy, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much.
Welcome. And then finally, we do have the Vice Chancellor. That is Professor John Atayam. He is the Chief Executive also. He doubles up as the Chief Executive Officer of this particular institution with a responsibility for academics, administrative and leadership development at KMO. VC, good evening.
Good evening, Abdi.
Welcome. Of course, I told you earlier on, we do have key stakeholders and we'll be mentioning them in just a few as and when I hand it over to my colleagues. But let's kickstart this particular conversation. I want to start with the NCIC chairman. Chairman, this is the second edition of this transgenerational conversation. Many people have been asking both on and offline, why are we having this particular conversation? Is the country on the edge?
Well, thank you very much once again for having us here. As NCIC, when we launched the Transgenerational Conversations in September, we have been listening to particularly, and what has become evidently clear is that the young Kenyans want to be heard, and not only to be heard, but what they say to be taken seriously and to be implemented. And that is the reason why we then decided to provide the platforms and the spaces for such a conversation to take place so that our young people can be heard. And secondly, that it is also very clear that we have been able to establish some trust and confidence between NCIC and the young people, in particular the Gen Z, and therefore we wanted this to be seen as a safe place for the Gen Z to feel comfortable and confident, and therefore they'll be able to tell Kenyans what it is that they want them to know and what they want this country to do in order to be transformed to be a place where they themselves feel that indeed they can contribute to the nation building.
And we do have Gen Zs here. Let me take it to Purity now. Purity, given that you hear from the chairman clearly stating that this is a forum that will give you an opportunity to iron out some of these issues that has been even cropping up since last year to this year, but in your view as a Gen Z as well, what are these underlying issues that needs to be addressed?
I believe the most fundamental challenge that we have is a broken trust. We as a generation have seen promises broken, and a lot of the deliverables that we didn't even ask for them really, but they were said and in the campaigns and the different sessions that are given and platforms. And so we've seen years come in and go, and we have not, one, gotten to see the future that was promised to us. And that is why we are as radical as we are now, because we are system overhaulers. That's what I'd put it as. And so overarching, I believe it's trust that's broken fundamentally. Thank you.
Aside from trust, Kennedy, in terms you being the spokesperson of this particular institution, I'm sure you talk with your comrades in other institutions. You raised a lot of issues last year and this year. Are they listening to you?
First of all, thank you so much. I can say as a nation, they are partly listening and partly not. My own view is the issues that have been raised over the years by the young people, the response of the government or the people involved mostly is always, we've heard you. But can these various stakeholders, or rather the government or the agencies involved, move from, yes, we heard you, this is what we have done, and this is the evidence? And that's where the problem comes, especially with the Gen Zs who are very outspoken and always demand accountability. Yes.
And Vice Chancellor, given that you oversee thousands and thousands of students, not just here in the Nairobi campus, the institution is across this country. In terms of leading and ensuring some of their concerns are ahead, what are you institutions doing about it so to bring them forth it can be addressed?
Thank you. I need to welcome everyone here at Kenya Methodist University. We usually say the future is here. And indeed, we have 3 main campuses. The main campus is in Meru, and we have Nairobi campus and Mombasa campus. Now, coming to the question you're asking, I'm thinking, where can you find all generations sitting or talking together? And my immediate reaction is that it's only in a university where you can find all generations talking, learning, teaching, playing, researching together. And for this reason, a university is well placed. If well taken care of, young people, older people, they are likely to speak and find solutions to problems, because we do not start immediately in the university by problem solving. People are concerned about, how do I start my program? When do I finish my program? Where do I get school fees? How? I do not have money to pay for accommodation. I don't have food. Such problems are there for the students. Lecturers are also concerned because the pay is not much. Taxes are high, for instance. So when you ask lecturers, they keep on saying, we are getting nothing, even after working so hard. These kind of conversations are really important because they affect people's lives.
And let me toss it back to the NCIC chairman before we give it to the audience to ask their questions and comments, and also introduce some of the stakeholders we do have here. Chairman, you have been to Kangemi, you have been to Kawangware, you have spoken not only to the Gen Zs, the millennials, the Gen X, name all those generations. So in terms of creating that particular trust, what is the first step that is required?
What is that?
What is the next step to build that trust?
Well, yes, this week alone, as you have mentioned, we have been in the informal sectors of Nairobi. You have mentioned Kangemi, Kawangware, and yesterday we were at Kibra.
Yes.
And this time we have provided the space and the platform for transgenerational conversations with the academia. And what we have heard clearly is that there is need for these conversations to continue. So the next steps that we are going to have are, one, we are going to synthesize what we have heard during these conversations, including even the ones that we have had before this week, so that we'll put together what we have heard. Secondly, we'll then come up with a program on how we are going to implement them. One of the concerns that have been expressed even just now by the Gen Z is that promises are made, but they are not fulfilled. And therefore, what we are going to do is to see what has been asked, who is best placed to implement what has been asked. And therefore, we are going to have a multi-agency platform, because there's no one particular institution or agency that can implement everything that has been said. There are many stakeholders, and therefore we will want to engage them and tell them this is what we have heard, and we want them to now explain how they are going to be implementing them. As NCIC, we wanted to be the custodian of what we have heard. As we continue to do this, involve all generations, and particularly the Gen Z and the millennials, so that they themselves should be given the opportunity to monitor closely and to evaluate as we move on, or I would say on a monthly basis, so that they will say, no, what you have said now is so many months, nothing has happened. And that is what we mean by holding the government accountable. So that is what, those are going to be the next steps.
Okay. Purity, what are some of these gaps you had noticed, not just as students, but as citizens of this particular country, that you had to voice it in that manner since last year to this year?
Simply put, we lived in an era where children were meant to be seen and not heard. We're not children really, but we are coming up from childhood to adulthood. And so it was only then when the Gen Z protests came in that we were brought into the table. And even now, I feel that our public participation is just for the books. And so we are brought in as conduits for quote-unquote public participation, and nothing really is actionable in terms of the actionable steps. For example, one of the things that hurts us a lot as students here in public universities is the new funding model, for example. And the conversation has always been, I'd say, one-sided. And one of the things we want to do also is to get real data and real stories of the people living through the funding model, if it really does work or not. And so the gap is we're brought to the table, but we are really not part of the conversation. We're on the menu. No, if you get what I mean. Yes.
Okay. Kennedy, in terms of your student leaders at the end of the day, that deserves a clap. The student leaders deserve to appear before, not only before your VC, the leadership of other institutions, even to the Ministry of Education. In terms of taking these issues, which offices have you taken them to and they have not addressed them?
Thank you so much. Most of these issues you find as young generations, we normally raise them in the social media. But aside from our social media platforms, we have had several engagement, including the presidential town halls on the new funding model, like my colleague has said, which is the highest office of decision making in our public. So, and another agencies like the NCIC, which is doing really a good job in collecting this important information to try and bridge the gap that we are facing. So there are a number, like the Ministry of Education. We normally voice our concerns through them every now and then, especially on matters. As students, you find us, we normally air matters, help. They wait for us to go to the street to demonstrate, which should not be the case. But now the problem comes with just what I said. When we voice our concerns, we are told, we have heard you. Now, our generation that we are having right now, we are a generation that we don't want only to be told we have heard you. We want to be told, and we want also to see you have heard us. Yes, what have you done? Can we see the visible action? And that's why we ask the famous question that Nganga Muigai normally asked. I'll say it in Swahili. Chenye mlisema ndio mnafanya, na chenye mnafanya ndio mlisema. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vice Chancellor, in terms of ensuring that their pleas are heard as institutions, you remember you're the second guardians aside from their parents back at home. You interact with this particular generation. So in terms of bridging the gap between the old and the young, institutions such as yours, what are you doing about it?
Thank you. When university students arrive during admission, they are arriving from high school. And their hopes, their expectations are very high. They have never tasted real freedom, and now they are tasting real freedom in our campus life. And so when they come, they have very, very high expectations of what life can be. They want to be taken seriously. They want their academic programs to be taken seriously. They have come thirsting for knowledge. So one of the things that universities do is we orient them to the academic life of the university. We talk to them. We even help them to settle in a university. It is not that easy because they have been living with their parents. Now they will be living on their own. You know, they have been wearing uniform. Now they wear whatever they want to wear. They eat whatever they want to eat. Every time they have been used to don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Now at the campus, no one is telling them don't. Everybody is saying do. For that reason, the campus is the best place where discussion, talk can start. And it is in that talk that we can understand each other. The younger generation are not just angry. They are questioning. They are asking, why are you a university? Why are you giving me this program? At the end of my program, what can it give to me? And those questions are not superficial questions. That's why we must revise our curricula as universities to fit in what is necessary and what is required.
Okay. And of course, given that we have heard from our panel at least 2 rounds, let me toss it off now to our very own Nancy Okware. And of course, some of the stakeholders who are currently on that particular side with our very own audiences drawn from various institutions, not only KEMU, but here in the capital, the residents are here as well, is the Committee on Administrative Justice, CAJ. Others are the National Youth Council, NYC, the Refugee Consortium of Kenya, the County Commissioner's Office. We do have the DCC of Starehe here, the Media Council of Kenya also, as well as Ms. Lily Luaga, the advisor to the CS National Treasury and Economic Planning, as well as Mr. Alan Chacha from the USPAK. Nancy, over to you.
Naam, shukran sana Abdi Aziz Hashim, na bila shaka kama nilivyokuwa nimekueleza mtazamaji ni ya kwamba pia tutakuwa tunawapa wananchi fursa ya kuuliza maswali, na kuna swali moja upande huu sijui ikiwa tutaweza kulipata, angalau tujue ni swali lipi. Utasimama tu, utakuja upande huu tafadhali, kisha utasimama, kisha utueleze jina lako na swali lako ni lipi kwa lugha ambayo ungependa kuzungumza.
Shikilia kipaza sauti. Comrades power. Comrades wisdom. Comrades achu. The magic of human achievement gives an irrefutable proof that as soon as the nationalism of a country is awakened among the youth, then that and only that becomes the vanguard against impunity. My name is Ongoya Fidel Castro Hill. I'm the Comrades President at Safina Party, and I'm also a law student at the University of Nairobi. My question is to the NCIC chair and to the older generations, which seems to know everything about too little. Now my question is, we have branded this event as peace. Peace is very good, but peace in what context? In what context? Are we seeking for peace when we are saying that university fees should be scrapped off and we should learn for free? Or are we seeking for peace when we are saying that we should not pay odious debt and channel the fee towards healthcare and education? This then adds to my next question. Should we seek for peace and die and leave leadership to people who are not going to see our future tomorrow? If you're able to answer these questions well, then I believe that the Kenya we are going to live tomorrow will be a Kenya that will not only be good to you, but also to my brothers and sisters who lack fees, and to the people who die in Kirinyaga Hospital while the governor drives in luxurious cars.
Na asante kwa swali lako na asante sana kwa hilo swali, na tunapozidi tu kuzungumza na wengine, pengine nirejeshe usukani upande wa Abdi Aziz Hashim ili angalau tupate hilo jibu, kisha tuendelee kupata maswali zaidi.
Maybe you toss it now to the chairman. Chairman, you've heard the question from our very able leader of tomorrow. Give us the answer.
Well, thank you very much. I think that's the leader of even today, not tomorrow, because the way he has phrased his question is obviously he's a leader. Now, peace in what context? When we talk of peace, we are not talking of the absence of war or absence of conflict. Peace is not an event. Peace is also a process. And therefore, to the extent that there is so much poverty, because that's what I hear the question being put to us, because it says if we are not able to afford the school fees, if we are not able to feed ourselves, then what is peace? And it is true that as NCIC, we have been involved in peace building for many, many years, and in all the parts of the country. And therefore, it is important that, yes, we contextualize peace. Now, if we don't have peace in this country, we wouldn't be here today. There are many, many countries, I would say more than half of African countries, you wouldn't find young people and older people coming together like we are doing it here today. So one thing is that it is because of peace that we are able even to be able to dialogue. It is because of peace that you are able to be here, to be going to school without anybody bothering you. And therefore, this is peace that we cannot achieve just as one organization, but it is incumbent upon all of us as Kenyans to really want to seek this peace. This I think this afternoon, Professor Kibuda Kibwana is sitting here. He said that don't take peace for granted. And we as Kenyans, I think we take peace for granted. I have lived in many, many parts of this world, and I can say that there are many people who envy Kenya because of the way we have remained an island of peace in a turbulent region. But we take that for granted. But it is true that we have also tasted times that we almost flipped over in 2006 and 2007 and 2008. Before then, in 1992. And therefore, it is important, yes, we contextualize peace, but at the same time, we don't be cynical about peace. It is by taking things very seriously and really saying, now, what can we do together to sustain the peace that we enjoy, but knowing that we are not there yet. But we have a step closer towards peace. As NCIC, we did a study after the June 24, and I would say that in this booklet, on page 8, we have the achievements that the Gen Z made. I am a baby boomer myself. I have been involved in struggles for second liberation very, very intensely. There's no other generation other than the one that brought about the first liberation that achieved anything nearer to what they achieved within 1 week. And we have listed 7 such achievements. I think you need to clap for yourselves. and don't be too harsh on yourselves. Rejecting of the Finance Bill 2024, whatever else may be said about that, it is because of what you did that happened. And that contributes towards peace. Improved state of relation between the Senate and the National Assembly. That's another achievement that you made, and that contributes to peace. Improvement in conduct of public officials. When shortly after the demonstrations, the kind of public behavior that you used to see among senior people and all that, it almost ended immediately. And I can attest to that because there are many colleagues of mine who clearly had to behave after that.
Chairman, so, let's allow all members of the audience to also ask more questions.
No, what I'm saying is that because we wanted to contextualize peace,
yes,
I want even to say the contribution of Gen Z to peace that we are talking about.
Okay.
So that's why I was mentioning the achievements here and say what it is needed now is to build on the achievements that we made, and what will it take to build on the achievements that we made.
Okay, let me hand it over back to Nancy Okware, and members of the audience, you can pose the question not only to the NCIC chairman, we also have our very own panelists here as well. You can pose it to them if you feel like a comment as well. Over to you, Okware.
Na asante sana Abdi Aziz Hashim, na kwa kweli upande huu maswali ni mengi, na hivyo basi nitawasihi tu ikiwa una swali unauliza tu swali moja, na kwa kifupi tutaanza nawe. Swali lako unalielekeza kwa nani? Utasimama tu tafadhali. Swali lako unalielekeza kwa nani?
Kwa majina naitwa Silas Miu, mwenyekiti wa wanafunzi Pioneer International University, and this is my question. Why is the government spending a lot of resources in trying to cure symptoms while at the same time not addressing the issues? Quickly, when you look at the new funding model, the new education system, the CBE that is in right now, those systems are still new. However, the effects to students, yesterday we were at a burial somewhere in Beere, in Tharaka, in Embu, and when you look at the schools that were there, the environment, they can't access some of these requirements that these new systems demand. As a government, how can you at least relinquish a percentage of shares, let's say even Safaricom, and let students have access of internet across all institutions of learning, from basic to higher institutions? That is one. Lastly, the government should also prioritize on releasing funds, especially to private university students, because as of 2022 to date, you placed a lot of students in private universities and you've never reimbursed them. And those institutions are also struggling. We are also your students. Thank you.
Asante. Na maswali mengi sana, lakini tafadhali muda mfupi. Swali moja kwa kifupi, angalau wengine wapate fursa ya kuuliza maswali. Tueleze jina lako na swali lako ni lipi, unalielekeza kwa nani?
Thank you very much. My name is Kariuki Nganga, and my question is directed to the chairman of NCIC. You have spoken about peace, and my question is, when you talk about peace, and whenever we hear leaders talking about peace, is it just another name or another concept to ensure that people do not seek for their justice? What is peace without justice? Because like the Gen Zs, we have heard them time and again saying their real issue is the issue of governance, corruption. And they tell us, and they tell the government, do the right thing. We have no problem with you, but do justice. So what is peace without justice? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wacha nichukue upande huu swali moja, kisha nitarejea hapo. Swali lako kwa kifupi, jina lako, kisha swali lako.
Asante sana. Mimi jina langu ni Max. Question yangu inakuwa directed to the NCIC Commission. And the first thing is, why is the government, okay, let me say like, why is the government responding to a mosquito bite with a hammer? Because Gen Zs, we are peaceful already. When you guys are talking about peace, then Gen Zs are the most peaceful generation. We are on the street with the flag, showing how proud we are to be in this country and willing to change it. Then you give an order to shoot our legs. So what is really happening? Is the NCIC making any effort to make this conversation with the government before even coming to us? Because the next thing the government is doing is organizing praying events.
Asante, tumelipata hilo swali. Wacha tumpe mwingine fursa. Asante sana. Asante. Naam, tueleze jina lako kwa kifupi. Kwa kifupi sana, ndio tumelipata swali. Asante sana. Tueleze jina lako, swali lako kwa kifupi, kisha nitarejesha usukani pale angalau tupate yale majibu, alafu tutaendelea na maswali.
Comrades power. Comrades viva. I go by the name Isaac Uwor. I am a fresh graduate from the University of Nairobi. I'm very unemployed because of the broken system. So my issue today, I have a concern, but a concern goes to the members of parliament of this country. According to the study that was done by IMF, that Kenya, we are number 4 in terms of wage bill that we are paying to the members of parliament and politicians. And this is just, the GDP of our country is 76 times the wage bill that we are paying politicians. So my worry is this. Constitutional moment to revise the wage bill we are giving the politicians. A politician is earning 1 million, an MP is earning 1 million. In his constituency, this is someone who is studying under the shade, yet is exposing how he has a belt that owning the belt that worth 1 million, but your kid somewhere is learning under a tree. So we need a constitutional moment to revise the wage bill that we are giving to the politicians.
Okay, thank you so much. And let me start posing those questions. We'll come for questions. But let me start with the VC here. Fundamentally, we do have a lot of comrades, not only from KEMO, but other institutions here. You've heard from one of our audiences, they are talking about the university funding model and the CBE program. As tutors and lecturers, these concerns are being raised by students. Are you listening to those concerns? And what do you think about this particular model and program itself?
Well, thank you very much. These are very pertinent issues that many vice chancellors and the managers of the university are concerned with, because when we change school fees or university fees, it is not that we want learners not to learn. It is because we must live within the means. But those means, if they are not funded, it becomes difficult for us to run programs, to pay lecturers, even to take care of basic in the university. For this reason, the funding model is not really the main casualty here. The issue is, if the parents or the government promises to pay and they don't pay, that is where the problem is. If at least they pay what they promised to pay, then most of the problems would be resolved, because they would start somewhere. So the funding model may have some weaknesses, but it is not completely unusable. What is not good is promises that are not kept.
And let me go to Kennedy now. Your comrades also raised an issue when it comes to the constitutional moment. Do you feel the same as one of their leaders, that in this particular country we're in a constitutional moment, and should we bring it forth?
Thank you so much. I'm happy because such questions is why we are here this evening. Kenya is in a parliamentary system form of management, meaning that our members of parliament are the most powerful probably in the country. And my brother, I want to give you a simple solution. This is some of the most important things us as the young people go across in public forums to preach. From now up to 2027, we are having our 4 constitution. One of them, my brother, I want to encourage you, have an ID card by 2027. Number 2, have a voter's card. That is constitution number 2. Constitution number 3, have a good mind, a sound mind by 2027. The 4th part of that constitution is, if you feel your mind is not sound by 2027, please don't get out of your house. The reason being, our problem is not even the person at the top. By that I mean the president. But we have MPs who are supposed to oversight and help us run this government, joke with the responsibilities that we are giving them. As a young person, I feel them because I am in their shoes. So my brother, if we can all continue with the civic education and ensure by 2027 we execute the 4 constitutions that we have, I think we will have a good governance system by 2027. Thank you so much.
And Purity, in terms of presentation of the youth, given that not even the general election that is coming in 2027, there is even a by-election that is coming in November 27th. So in terms of civic education, especially from you student leaders, what needs to be done so that the youth the leaders keep on saying that the youth are for tomorrow? Why not today?
What I can say, the crowning of my statement is, you cannot postpone the inevitable. And I speak as someone who's part of a movement. I have a position, yes, but I am Gen Z. And one of the things we talk about is being leaderless, and that means our information systems are decentralized. And so I can tell you for sure, the youth already know what to do. And I think what I'd say is maybe just giving the data, getting data is so easy. In fact, for me, I get a lot of information from the students themselves. And so I can tell you we are already prepared. We were long prepared. We have a set mind and we have one goal. And one of the things I appreciate with the comrades here is we speak with no filters because our problems are very real. And there's a statement one of the comrades asked is, what is peace without justice?
Yes.
What is peace when you're hungry? What is peace when you don't sleep, you don't have a roof under your head? What is peace when you see the vision bearers, the people who we gave the mandate to lead, not lead the way we want to go? And so the Gen Zs are preparing in their own way. One of the things I'd say is to galvanize ourselves a bit better. There have been factions that have been created, though I believe we stay true to what we are, and that is a movement that can't be stopped. Not today, not tomorrow. Yes.
Thank you so much. NCIC Chairman, now that question is to you. What is peace without justice, given that you're the custodian of peace and cohesion in this country?
Well, I think this is an overtrodden statement. As way back as 1970s, 1990s, we were all saying there's no peace without justice. So you are preaching to the converted. there's no peace without justice. But that being said, to have peace with justice is a process. Because it is very easy to talk of peace. If we take, for example, where we have had many commissions in this country coming up with recommendations. If those recommendations were implemented, then we will have been having peace with justice long time ago. So I just want to affirm that there is no peace without justice, and that's what we have been saying over the decades. Now, Silas asked the question, why is the government treating symptoms and not dealing with the root causes? And that's a very important question. We need to identify those symptoms and then challenge the government to say, what you have done, you have not treated the root causes. And as long as you don't treat the root causes, then we cannot say that you have dealt with the issues that are being asked. Silas also, I think, is the one, or somebody else asked to the government to prioritize on releasing funds to private universities as well. Let me wear my other hat here as the chair of the BOT of KEMU. And we, as the BOT, are the ones who clearly own and run the university. The government owes us 6 billion shillings because for all those years the government was sending students, they were not paying us. We have met everybody all the way to the president asking for this money. And there have been promises, even promises is not only to you that are not fulfilled, we also have promises that are not fulfilled. The last time we met with the CS Treasury, they said they will try and see if they can pay in installments. So I just want once again to affirm that it's very important for the government to consider releasing funds to the universities. Now, there was the question that was asked by Isaac, which I really wanted to emphasize on. Isaac has proposed, I think Isaac he started with a very interesting statement that I am very unemployed because of broken systems. And you all clapped, which means it was very good. You know, what he says, you also associate yourselves with it. I think, as it has been said, there is a chance that you can really, at this time, even at this historical moment, when we are beginning to prepare for the next elections, to bring about the constitutional movement that you have mentioned. It is true, Kenyan members of parliament are among the top 3 countries with the highest paid members of parliament. They are paid even more than the British, more than the French, more than the Germans, and we are a very poor country. Is this how we want our country to run? Are these the kind of systems we want? If you really want, even coming out of these conversations, say that you want to come with a clear declaration that we must revise how our MPs are paid. We cannot just continue like this and expect that there will be change, because, and on the constitutional moment, many things that we want to be changed, we are asking Parliament, whose members of Parliament want to retain their own opulence and happiness, and therefore they will not do what we are telling them to do. You can even sponsor bills yourselves as students. You can use institutions, even like ourselves, to sponsor bills to Parliament if you want to have a constitutional moment. Identify those areas that we want changed before 2027. Unless we begin to be very concrete, like you did, and that's why I was reading the achievements that you made. You have to be very concrete, and if you do that, certainly something will happen.
And indeed, before we even take that short commercial break, we only have 4 minutes and then we'll come back. Let me toss it to the Vice Chancellor, given that the Chairman has raised a very pertinent question that emanated from our audience members when it comes to unemployment. Given that the custodians of not only these students, but the education system in this country are key stakeholders to ensuring this generation is able to get jobs out there, where is the disconnect? Because every year we see graduates coming out of the universities, but in terms of what they had learned in the institutions does not concur with the realities on the ground.
Now, some of the programs that we enroll students in require very much access to the industry. And our programs need to be linked to the workers, to the working class, to factories, to manufacturing. This is the only way when students are doing their internship or when they are doing their practicums, they are able to understand the actual working of the people or the working class. That way, they can easily be absorbed by those companies where they went for internship. Now, this disconnect is being bridged right now as we talk. There is something known as innovation. Innovation is addressing old problems using new methods and using new tools. The Gen Z themselves are very innovative. What we are doing now as universities is to give them a chance to generate for themselves even the kind of programs they want to be involved in as part of curriculum review. It is important to know that the skills are needed by the industry. It's not just knowledge. Skills are required. And sometimes what has been happening is that these skills has been lacking. And when the graduate goes out there, the employer does not know what to do with that graduate. Now, we must bridge that gap between the employer and the education system.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chancellor. And on that note, we need to take a short commercial break. I would like to request our audience to kindly remain seated. We're only taking a 40-second short commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue with more questions from your end, of course, posed to members of the panel here. And of course, we'll talk also about corruption that has been raised. Where are the missing gaps when it comes to the country's governance structure? Also, you watching us currently, talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 using the hashtag Amanikwa Ground. Don't go too far.
In the name of Jesus Christ, Mungu anatarajia ukanyange hatua mbele. Wengine wametawaliwa na uchawi, wakati wao umefika. Wewe umenitazama siku ya leo. Neema na kibali cha Bwana kikawe juu ya maisha yako.
Mama wake utii yuko, Fatia pia yuko. Mweni kwanza ndo anatakaje?
Yaani nitakuwa na mabibi wangapi mimi?
4.
Usijaribu kunijibu hivyo. Wafikiri ni shida yangu ili kuleta hapa ni shida yako.
My secret is finished. Leo zani leo.
Hiyo ni ngoja nimalize nitakuja huko ni.
Hata nipi wakati basi kazungumza na bibi yangu.
Mzee Mombasa. Today no eat.
Mzee Mombasa ndio upika.
Caregivers face many challenges and frustrations when it comes to placing their children in learning institutions, which should not be the case.
Don't keep your children in school when they can do something with their little talent.
We are putting it forward, the government also, to look at these parents, this particular group of families that have kids like us, that, you know, we have this thing like people have affordable housing. Why can't we do something for us?
We're differently able.
Watoto wako na shida ya miguu. Walianza tu kuanguka tu. Wakaanza tu kuanguka, maso zikaisha nguvu. Hata Njoroge hivyo ndivyo tunaye alianza kuanguka. Akaanza kuanguka tu. Na hakuna kitu anaweza jifanyia chochote. Mimi ndio nawaoshanga, kuwapeleka chooni mimi, na wakalishia ndoo. Naenda na mwanga choo zao, na waosha, na wavalisha nguo. Mimi niko na mashida. Watoto, Mungu tu awasaidie tu, munisaidie penye tu mnaweza.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is the second edition of the Transgenerational Conversation, coming to you live from the Kemu Towers. We had completed our first part when it comes to addressing most of the issues that were raised by our audience. We need to finish that particular aspect of some of the questions that were raised, and then we'll go back for another handful of questions from our audience. Now, the main dragon that, Kennedy, I want to pose it to you, has been raised, and in terms of corruption. In terms of corruption, do you feel not only the government but key institutions that are tasked with fighting this vice have done enough?
Thank you so much. When we talk about corruption in Kenya, I think all of us can really fall into a deep cry, because it's very evident that is one of the biggest problems that we have as a nation. And indeed it is true. You find every day in the news, we get to hear millions of money have been stolen, millions of money have been lost in pertinent project. So this for us as young people is really disturbing us as young people. It is true. And even to those very many agencies that are tasked to follow up and ensure that those who are involved in corruption practices are brought into books, they still fail to deliver in their part. So we remain asking ourselves the question, who will we turn to? But I still, if I look in the mirror, I'll still urge all of us to face ourselves in the mirror, because that responsibility begins with us to end corruption. It's not a one-sided show. It requires both us as the citizen and the government to play their part in ensuring that we bring corruption to an end. Yeah.
And now let's go back to our audience first and get a few more questions, and then I'll toss it to Purity, the NCIC chair, as well as the VC and Kennedy here to respond to them. Over to you, Okwari.
This is Rose Were.
Okay, Rose.
Asante Abdi. Okwari is on the other end of the hall. She's also talking to the audience. We have the Deputy County Commissioner's representatives, Starehe, and Ngao officials here. We have the ACC, and we have two assistant chiefs. I'm standing next to them. Madam representative of DCC will introduce herself. And please tell us, insecurity has been a very major concern, especially in Nairobi and its environs. How has the national government administrative officials made sure that this is dealt with, and how can we deal with the issue of mistrust between the youth and security agents? Over to you, madam.
Thank you so much. My name is Lilian Itubo, and as she has said, I'm representing the Deputy County Commissioner Starehe. On the issue of security, First of all, Ngao, we coordinate all government activities and programs. And on security, we chair the security committees at all levels, from the regional to the locational level. So on the issue of Nairobi, there have been an outcry. We've seen it in social media. What we have done on security as Ngao, first, we have mapped out the hotspots that have been raised as a concern, the areas that were mentioned to be very notorious on matter security. And in the mapping out, we have conducted targeted operations on the same areas, and some people have been arrested in that note. They have been arraigned in court. Secondly, we are also partnering with Nairobi City County on matters of street lighting and the Kenya Power, so that the streets where there is vandalism of wires of security or of wires on street lighting, so that they are rectified. And the areas that do not have the street lighting, they are improved or they are installed. We have also increased police presence in the streets. We have the uniformed police, and we also have the civilian police officers.
Okay, DCC. Because of time, kindly summarize.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. So we are encouraging the public to share information, and to build this trust, we have a technology, Mulika app. Mulika app, you can send an SMS to 988. It does not show who has sent the message. It just gives the information for quick action. We also have the same, can be downloaded through the Play Store. It's a Mulika app. It's for security, for quick action and response. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That is the DCC representative from Starehe and Rosemary. Thank you for engaging her. Now, I want to pose the same issues that have been raised by the DCC and the initiatives they are making as security forces, not only in the capital but across the country. Purity, in terms of ensuring that the Gen Zs, the millennials and other generations have confidence once more in our police officers, what do you think they need to do?
First and foremost, accountability. We've seen people being shot on videos, and you find not many are taken to book. In fact, very few. And we have them, investigations by IPOA. And we see from the perspective of a young person, it just looks like a charade. And so, and as you've mentioned, the accountability institutions have not been empowered, and they're just being used as conduits by whoever has the power to twist justice. And truthfully, when I entered into office, the first issue I tackled was an armed robbery in the University of Nairobi. And so one of the things we see is a lack of accountability on their end. And I think one of the ways we can really bridge the gap is to take the people who have taken aggression to a greater extent than should not have been, to actually be arrested, arraigned, and justice is served. And I think one of the things that is underlying in this conversation, and you'll hear it a lot, is justice. Justice denied. Justice delayed is justice denied, but we've also seen justice blatantly denied. And so accountability, accountability, accountability. Thank you.
And given that we have one of the cohesion commissions here that deals with not only peace and stability in the country, in terms of NCIC chairman, you have been there for a number of years. What have you done as an institution to bring the National Police Service and these other security agencies closer with the generations that they are serving?
Well, what we have done as the NCIC, because this is part of our mandate, is to issue policy briefings on all matters that touch on the lives of Kenyans, particularly when it comes to matters of cohesion, unity, discrimination, etc. And secondly is to provide we have a multi-agency group that was established way back in 2021 in the run-up to the 2022 elections. And one of the ways in which we are able to deal with issues that come up comprehensively is by having all the synergizing what we do as different institutions. And we have regular briefings as well as regular meetings where we review and agree on what then needs to be taken up and what needs to be given priority. So we are working with all other agencies of government in addressing these issues, including this one of accountability. As you see, the subtitle of Transgenerational Conversations is on good governance and accountability in Kenya. And we came up with an accountability charter in the run-up to the 2022 elections, which we are reviewing now, and on political decency and accountability for political parties as well as for government officials. Finally, is we do regularly audit. We audit, like just last week, we validated audit of the parastatals and the universities. And soon you will know whether your university is actually in compliance when it comes to offering opportunities for employment to all Kenyans. So these are some of the things that we call to order those government agencies that have the mandate and the responsibility to deal with issues that are being raised.
Mm-hmm. And coming back to the Vice Chancellor, given that you know this era is driven by the digital age, you're also dealing with an informed generation. We've just seen a tip of the iceberg from just our audience here, who are not only students but leaders in their various institutions. So in terms of university ensuring that social media is well grasped with this particular generation, what opportunities has the university ensured these youths can tap in those digital age?
Thank you, but before I go there, allow me to say something about security. Okay. Because most of the universities where students live outside the university compound, there is serious insecurity for students. Female students get assaulted, but the border people also are not very careful, and they know these are their clients. Let me say that just because one Kenyan has been given a gun and the other one has not been given a gun, one has no right of life over the other. So, if there's no, the problem in Kenya is we don't respect the law. We create the law, we know the law, we write the law, we don't respect the law. And for that reason, if there is no one respecting the law, justice cannot be served. Without injustice, this dialogue would not go far. Me, I would like to say, universities are living in insecure places. Most of the university communities, outside the community, the university fences, students are scared. When they come out from lectures, sometimes at night, or from the library at night, they are scared. It is dark. There is nobody maintaining the lights or the streets. Even some places, there is complete darkness. It is good for us to say the government should take responsibility. There are people who have taken a lot of effort even to have Nyumba Kumi work around the university campuses. And we want to applaud them. But there are many others who have neglected their role. We should call them out and say university students should be protected. It is the duty of government to protect the students. It is not the duty of the university to protect the students as such. However, universities also must put a mechanism to discuss, to talk with the landlords, with the people who live outside, so that they can know their livelihood depends on the student community. Having said that, may I come to your question about social media and how we can harness it to assist students. One thing that we are in a digital age. This is a thing we cannot run away from. It is not a Kenyan thing. It is a global thing. Each one of us has a phone. Everybody who has a phone means they have the world at their own hand. you cannot stop people using the phone. Even in very near future, universities have to find a way, knowing that this can be taken to an examination room. Students can do their exams peacefully, even with all the gadgets they have, and still they pass or fail exams. For that reason, we want to encourage students to continue using them. To use them so that they can develop apps, so that they can use those apps to do marketing, to train others, to make money for themselves. There are some students who work in America while we are asleep. And I want to encourage them to continue. It is only through this social media and through other media that the students innovate and find work elsewhere. I think it's a good thing. For Kenya Methodist University, we have made every effort to ensure that modern, up-to-date courses are in place where students can learn and can enroll. We have also partnered with other agencies and people of the world who know how to direct us or even how to implement such programs like AI.
Yes.
Because AI is important. AI now, artificial intelligence, is an intelligence outside your head. These machines, we have trained them to think. Sometimes you want to type a letter, which you can take an hour to do so, but AI can do it within seconds. Why would you like to type that letter when AI can do it?
Thank you so much. And a similar question to Kennedy here. Given that we witnessed what this generation was able to achieve in mere months online, contributing even finances to the tune of millions, why not tap into this platform that will give us jobs aside of waiting for white-collar jobs at the end of the day?
Thank you so much. For us as a young generation, the online or the social media space or the tech space is very important for us, because it makes first our world be very borderless, and we can access anything we want across the borders. And I think as my Vice Chancellor said, I'll also note something. Our institution should be at the forefront of ensuring they give us space to develop in terms of the technology, because that's the world we are in. Like in our institution, our Vice Chancellor has set up an innovation hub where you need to go and just sit, think about what you can develop, either scientifically or technologically. And as well as the government should invest more in technology, especially in institutions. And that doesn't mean that only the institutions in the town or in the capital setup. I'm very sure if we take statistics of institutions in the rural areas, you'll find that they are lagging behind, yet we want them to be in the same level as those probably in the urban setup. So I think the government has to invest more in technology for us young people, create those, not necessarily in schools alone, create these hubs like the one our Vice Chancellor has created in our institution, in different places where even the youths who are outside school can access them, can innovate. And also, our government should ensure that even those who work online don't get over taxation for something that they are doing in terms of creativity and earning. We are not saying they should not get something out of that, but overtaxing also discourages people to explore more on the technology space. Yeah, thank you.
Given that we're entering our final leg of this conversation, Purity, moving forward, what would you like to see not only from institutions such as the NCIC, other government institutions, and even your leaders? What would you like to see from them going forward?
The primary thing, and I see it also in my institution, is if something doesn't work, fix it. If it doesn't, you can't fix it, then, we can build one up from the ground. We have systemic failures in our country and in our institutions. And I believe the most important thing is institutional reforms. It could go, pivoting all the way legislative, executive. I'm fascinated and I'm happy that we're talking about the wage bill. One of the things that is crippling us as a country and as a society is systemic issues that are not resolved and that they pile over the years. 6 billion accumulating for university, that is just crippling the university, and it is the challenges that we're seeing in higher institutions, institutions of higher learning. We are stuck in a space where we can't move forward. We're in a rock and a hard place. And one of the things I believe is we need thought leaders, people who are future thinkers, futurists, thinking into the future, not for just themselves, but for the people that will inherit that future. And that is why as Gen Zs, we are very upset and we are ready to take full control of our futures. I want to weigh in on something, that the question that you've asked Kennedy is, I also believe, as he's touched on it, they need to create an enabling environment for innovation and for entrepreneurship. 80%, correct me if I'm wrong, of our employment is informal. That means we're business people, we're entrepreneurs, we're industry leaders. Create an environment that works for us. We are having businesses and companies shutting down in our country. That means a cut in our job source, in our job pool. And at the end of the day, we have brilliant minds, children of the Kibaki system, ready to learn, to work. And so we need to think different, think new, because the future is ours. Thank you.
And now let me toss it off to the NCIC chairman. Simple thing that even our audience members are raising. They have talked, they have said in terms of implementation to ensure this is not just a talking show. What is the way for the implementation of some of the issues, legitimate issues that have been raised by our panel experts as well as our audience?
Thank you very much. And as we come to the close of this session, I really would like to say that having listened in the last couple of days and even in the previous months, there are a number of common concerns that have come up. One, and which is very relevant to NCIC, is lack of access to opportunities. And particularly when there is discrimination against certain communities or peoples, that they are denied access to opportunities.
Okay.
So that's one area that we want to deal with, and we want to continue certainly to address, because it's part of our mandate. Secondly, it is of course corruption that has been mentioned. One thing that we haven't mentioned this afternoon as we talk about corruption is the place of values. It was discussed earlier this afternoon in this hall here, but I think it's important for us really as all Kenyans to ask ourselves what really is ailing our country when it comes to matters to do with the values, because when it comes to corruption, before you stretch your hand to give or to receive a bribe, you have already had it in your heart and in your mind. That's where the values come from. And therefore, all of us need to do it, because there is corruption from the village to the community all the way to the nation. And it is incumbent upon us, all of us, to address it, and it's starting with ourselves.
Okay, Chairman. And then finally, I want to cross over to my colleague, that is Nancy Okware. Nancy, over to you.
Na asante sana Abdi Aziz Hashim, na bila shaka tunapoelekea kutamatisha, tukipenda tu kuwatambua baadhi ya makamishna wa NCIC. Kwa vile tuko naye kamishna wa NCIC Daktari Danvas Makori ambaye yuko hapa leo hii, na vile tuko naye afisa mkuu wa NCIC Daktari Daniel Mutegi Giti na vile ni kukukumbusha tu ya kwamba NCIC iko na afisi hapa Nairobi, na hivyo basi ikiwa na maswali yoyote ambayo ungependa kuuliza ama kuwatembelea, tunafahamu kwamba waratibu wake vile wako hapa leo hii, na pia hatutowasahau wote ambao wamefanikisha haya yote, wakiwemo washirika wote, wakiwemo NCIC, UNDP na wote ambao wameweza kufanikisha matangazo haya. Mtazamaji, jina langu ni Nancy Okware, na ninasema kwa heri nikirejesha usukani kwake Abdiaziz Hashim.
Thank you, my colleague Nancy Okware, also our very own Rose Were, for continuing to talk to our audience. I want to thank our members of the panel, starting with the NCIC chairman, Dr. Samuel Kobia, all the way to the Vice Chancellor of this institution, Professor John Ataya, and also Purity Mutua, the Vice President of the University of Nairobi Students, and then finally Kisero Kennedy, the Secretary General of the Kenya Methodist University Student Association. Thank you for making time for us this evening, and also to the comrades who have joined us at this evening from various institutions, KEMU, KU, St. Paul's, University of Nairobi, and other high-ranking institutions, as well as the members of this great capital of Nairobi County. Thank you for making time for us. Also, the key stakeholders who have been able to join us for this particular conversation. And to you, finally, our dear viewer who's watching us right now, thank you for making time for us. Always a pleasure having you. And do not forget, this conversation is going across the country. Who knows? Your county could be next. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. This program is brought to you courtesy of NCIC, UNDP, KOICA, and the Interreligious Council. Good evening for now. Do not go too far. Prime Edition is up next.